Hey guys, it's Kathleen and today I'll be doing my February wrap-up / currently reading. I'm sorry this video is going up so late. I've had literally no time to film and I had a broken tripod in the past week, so you guys are hearing this a little later than usual. To be quite honest, I wasn't even sure if I was going to film a February wrap-up because I only read 3 books this month, which doesn't feel like a whole lot. And even though I know that doesn't really matter or yada 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 whatever, I still feel like it matters and almost feels like I shouldn't film a wrap-up because of that. But I figured I would just combine it with a currently reading video just to make this a little bit longer so it's not like 4 minutes like the last time this happened. So without further ado, let's talk about the 3 books I read in February and the books I'm currently reading. The first book I read in February I read on audiobook, and that is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This book was making the rounds in about 2016, which is when it came out, and then 2017, so I'm a little late to the game, but basically this is about a futuristic world where death has been eliminated. As well as death, pretty much all wars and all bad things in the world have been eliminated, and people are kind of these neutral sort of people who don't feel things intensely, but they also don't experience anything bad for the most part. Now the issue with this is of course population control, and for that reason they have these people who are called scythes, who are essentially trained legal killers, and they are the only people who are allowed to administer death to select people. It's considered an honorable thing to be, and you have to make sure that you're not doing it by racial bias, you have to make sure that you're not doing it by age bias, different things like that. They try to keep it in order. The story mainly follows these 2 16-year-old apprentices to a scythe called Scythe Faraday named Rowan and Citra. And essentially Rowan and Citra are thrown into this competition against each other, and at the end one of them will become a scythe and the other will not. However, there's all these issues within the scythedom because there's all these bad people who are kind of like corrupt scythes, and they're changing the scythedom and making it worse than it really should be. And then about a quarter of the way through the book, because there are no rules surrounding this whole 2 apprentice thing that Citra and Rowan have going on, it's decided by the evil scythe in the story, Scythe Goddard, that one of them will have to glean the other after one of them is chosen. Does this make sense? Not really, but let's just go with it for now. What really stands out about this book is its world. It's so unique and incredibly intricate, which I really enjoyed. It's such a cool world, and some of my favorite parts of the book were actually the beginning of the chapters where they would show random gleanings from either bad people or people who were good, and it just really gave you a sense of what that world was like and why exactly that would be considered a dystopia, despite the fact that death has been eliminated. For that reason, I really liked this book. The Scythe characters are also extremely fascinating. You get a glimpse of one of their journals before each chapter as well, and I just loved that, and I thought it was so cool, and it really gave you insight into the minds of these people. It's very easy in a book to see anybody who kills people as just inherently bad, and it's kind of hard to see them as honorable, and while some of the scythes definitely are not honorable, some of them are, and that's definitely something that I liked learning about. On the other hand, with this book, it also has plot holes that don't quite make sense. So there's one major plot hole that's kind of answered in the sequel, which I read as well, but it really was an issue for me when I was reading it. My thought when I was reading it was, why don't you just make it so X amount of population can have children, and that way it won't be by like racial bias or anything like that. You'll just do it randomly. That was my thought, and I thought that would have made more sense almost. It's kind of explained away in the sequel as, I think, the Thunderhead, which is kind of their overarching robot type all knowledgeable ruler. The Thunderhead doesn't like to take away choice. I think that's why. But when I was reading it the first time, I was thinking, okay, but wouldn't this have made more sense? Like, what are you doing, Neil Shusterman? And then finally, and somewhat inevitably, I had issues with the whole Citra would have to glean Rowan thing, or Rowan would have to glean Citra. I just thought that was so silly. It was obviously put in there just to increase tension. There was really no good reason for it whatsoever. It made no sense. It was dumb. It obviously wasn't going to happen, so I didn't think it was particularly tension-filled anyway. I also didn't have that much affection for Citra and Rowan either. I didn't think they were the most interesting of characters. Liked them more in the sequel, not a huge fan of them in the first one, so yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings about this book, to be honest, but you may think because of that I didn't give it a very high rating, but I actually did, and I give this 4 out of 5 stars. This book is not perfect, there's definitely flaws with it, it has its issues, but I thought it was such a fun, entertaining story nonetheless that I couldn't help but give it 4 stars, and I was listening to an audiobook and I really listened to it a couple days. I liked it a lot. I thought it was so captivating despite its issues, so yeah, it was a super solid 4-star book. This month I finished Wires and Nerves Gone Rogue by Marissa Meyer. This is the second graphic novel in a continuation of the Lunar Chronicles series, which you know is a series I love. This series follows Aiko as they basically try to take down this team of wolf-human hybrids who believe that Cinder still has the ability to make them human again after that was taken away from them years before. Of course she doesn't, and they're trying to take him down, and it's just such a fun story. If you've ever read the Lunar Chronicles, you know that they are happiness in its essence. They make you like believe in your dreams and like I don't know, save the world or something. It's so good. They're so fun. Wacky band of misfits gets together and like saves the world is my favorite trope. So yeah, I love it. I thought it was so good. I don't have any more thoughts on it, honestly. I just love the series so much. It's one of the few series where I truly want more from that universe because I just think it's so fantastic and well done. Of course, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. And then finally this month I finished this guy, aka The Female, the Species by Mandy McGinnis. This book was really big a little while back. It came out, I believe, in the fall of 2016, and it is a book that a lot of people have very mixed feelings on. There's a lot of controversial opinions surrounding this book, and I am not one of those people. So this book to me is an example of the fact that social media marketing 100% works. I first saw this book advertised on the HCC Frenzy Instagram page. HCC Frenzy, if you don't know, is just the teen department of HarperCollins Canada, and I saw this book advertised and I got so excited. I thought it sounded like the coolest thing ever. I went to work, I got myself a copy, I was so excited to read it. And basically this book follows a girl named Alex Kraft who killed her sister's murderer years ago and then got away with it. But she also knows she has this sort of dark part of her that really loves danger and evil, and she doesn't quite know what to do with it, so she's always avoided other people. The story is mostly about rape culture, sexual assault, definitely issues like that, feminism, all that sort of stuff. It tackles girl hate in a way that's really good. In a lot of ways, this book has a lot of positives, but in a lot of ways, it just doesn't have a lot that I enjoyed at the same time. It's not that this is a bad book, because I honestly don't think it is. I just don't think it's for me. This book is extremely dark, and not in a way I really enjoyed. It has these graphic scenes of animal abuse, which I kind of knew about, but one of the scenes I wasn't warned about, so it kind of bothered me. If you're triggered by that, I would stay away from that, as well as, of course, as very graphic talk of sexual assault and rape. If you're triggered by that, stay away from that. There's just something I can't quite put my finger on with this book, but I just don't love it. I don't really like any of the characters. Most of them are not good people. I think they're interesting people, but they're not good. And I can like characters who are not good. I definitely can, but I like my main characters to be somewhat sympathetic. And I think really anyone in this book, except maybe PK, was sympathetic. All anyone in this book cares about, by the way, is sex. That's all these teenage boys care about. All the girls care about, really, too, as well. I get it, they're teenagers, that's normal, but at the same time, it was like, oh my gosh, this is all that's running through your brain constantly. Something about the writing style didn't really connect with me either. I thought it was kind of bland, to be honest. I didn't really feel anything from it. I don't think Mandy McGinnis is a terrible writer by any means. I just think this story for some reason isn't for me. Beautiful cover though, like super pretty, and cool concept. I just don't think it quite worked out. So overall, I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. So those were all the books I read in February, and now let's move on to the books I'm currently reading. I honestly considered combining my March wrap-up with my February one because my March one isn't going to be very long either. But so far this month, I read Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. I'm not going to go into anything because I'm going to talk about it in my March wrap-up. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it slightly less than the first one. I will talk about it more later though. And then I am also reading A Study in Sherwood by Brittany Cavallero. I was recommended this by Rocky at Blonde with a Book, and she loved it so much that I decided I would go and buy it. I'm about 100 pages in. So far, I do like it. I can't say I love it. I expected to like it more than liking it. I find that I'm not like super invested in the characters of Jamie and Charlotte, but whatever. I'm hoping it'll get better. I'm kind of hoping to be surprised by the mystery. I'm gonna love this story, but like I have high hopes. I've heard so many good things and I want to love it. So maybe that means I will. And then I'm also currently rereading Antegrade Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. This is my favorite book of all time, and it's supposed to be for my Story Club book club, which is kind of still happening. It hasn't been very well organized this month. I've just had no time. But if you do want to read this book with me, please do. I'm really excited. I'm rereading it and I'm loving it again. I think what I might do is host like a Twitter thing. So if you want to read it, then read it and we'll like chat about it on Twitter and all that. Maybe have like a set date to do that, because I think that might be better, honestly. There is a reading group, which I will link below. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to do that. But yeah, I love this book so much. It has such a place in my heart. I thought I might not like it as much since I'm older now, but it turns out I like it just as much. It's precious. I love it. It's the best. You should read it. And then finally this month, which I have to finish this book tonight actually, I am reading The Mayor of Thieves by Cherie Demeline. This book takes place in a futuristic world where indigenous people are the only people who have the ability to dream, and those dreams are in their bone marrow, so they are being hunted down for their dreams and captured and tortured. This is such an eerie, weird, creepy book, but overall it is genuinely fantastically written. It's heart-wrenching in a lot of ways. It's scary and terrifying. If you know anything about what's happening in Canada right now in regards to a few trials that have happened where Indigenous people have been wronged in a lot of ways, then this book will probably resonate with you. It's really, really important. I'm really glad it's being written. It's one of the Canada Reads finalists for this year, and I think it's so, so important. I hope it wins, honestly. So those are all the books I am currently reading. If you guys are reading any of these books, let me know. If you've read any of the books that I read in February, let me know. I'd like to chat about them, whether you like them, hate them, whatever. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe when you're out if you're new here. I upload videos typically twice a week, though I did just have a week-long hiatus, so you never know. If you'd like to follow me on any of my social medias, links will all be in the description, but in the meantime, I will see you guys next time.